I've always been a big dreamer. When I was age 7, I started my first unofficial business. It was called the Girls Club, like how original, but I decided at recess it wasn't enough to just play aimlessly on the playground, so I thought of organizing games. And so I charged everyone 50 cents so that I could buy the prizes at the canteen, which were just a bag of lollies. And that was my first technically not-for-profit. I had this whole contract drawn up with pencils and each person had their own self-portrait in the corner. It was very official, but the problem was the teachers found out and decided that I was a scammer and made me refund everyone's 50 cents. So that was a very short-lived first business. Fast forward to when I was 17, I was choosing my uni degree and the logical brain in me said, well, of course I have to study marketing and management if I'm going to be a CEO one day. Like, duh, what else would I study? I ended up becoming the CEO of 5 businesses. My biggest superpower has always been playing in fantasy land. You've got to be pretty damn delusional if you want to create a level of wild success. So in 2016, I launched my first business, which was a swimwear brand. And from day one, I decided I was going to start a global fashion brand with zero experience, zero clue what I was doing, zero contacts, and pretty little money to back myself. I was working a full-time job earning less than 40K a year. And so I had a whole lot of audacity to go out there and just say, look, be global, because why the heck not? So I truly believe the number one reason why I have managed to have so much fast success in that business is because I had the deepest level of self-belief, and there was not one ounce of me that said, who are you to do that? Jess, you don't have any experience. You don't have any clue what you're doing. I just went headfirst towards it. And I honestly believe because of that deep self-belief, I therefore took actions and showed up and positioned my brand as that global brand from day one, and shit blew up. I'm not even kidding. In week 1 of launching this business, I was sitting at my desk at my full-time job and this email came through. It said, hey, Jess, we want to invite you to the Australian showcase at New York Fashion Week to show your brand. At first I thought this has got to be a scam. Who the heck is inviting me 1 week into business to go to the biggest fashion week in the world with top Australian brands that have been around for so damn long? And it checked out. It wasn't a scam. And fast forward, within 6 months of launching online, I had a whole new collection and I was walking down the runway at New York Fashion Week. So I could have said, who am I to go to New York Fashion Week? I could have said, no way, like all these other brands were so much more advanced, had been around for so much longer than I had. Secondly, I have no money to make a whole new collection. I had no idea how to arrange and organize a whole fashion show. There were so many reasons that I could have said no. But I said yes. I signed that damn contract. I said, save my spot. And I decided I'll figure it out, because I believe once you say yes and just feel the fear and do it anyway, you will always find a way. Things went from 0 to 100 real fast. I scaled to 46 countries in the first year and made over 300K in an industry where no one buys swimwear very often. It's a very difficult market to break into. There were so many challenges, but I decided to go headfirst towards them anyway. I partnered with some of the world's biggest influencers. I ended up setting warehouses up in Hong Kong and the USA, and I was featured in Forbes, Channel 9 News, magazine features. And my first major stockist deal in the USA was over 30K for just a trial order. And I was jet setting every few weeks for photo shoots, meeting with stockists, buyers, all of it. And did I mention that year I was still working full-time in digital marketing? I was heavy on the audacity. Wait, hold up, because while you think it might be all sunshine and rainbows, I am here to be real with you. 6 months into my business, I hit rock bottom. While it looked shiny on the outside, on the inside, I hit max burnout. And to top it off, I emptied my life savings. So my breaking point was one morning I arrived to work, and after a 1 hour commute to a job I hated, I got out of my car, I walked over to the parking machine, and I went to pay for my parking. And I tapped my card on the machine and it declined. I had just emptied 20 plus K of my life savings into this business that was barely taking off just yet. And I did not know a way forward. I had no lunch that day because I was so busy before work that I was going to have to buy lunch, but then now I couldn't buy any food because I had no money left. And I just stopped and I thought to myself, how do I move forward from here? I can't eat, I can't go home, I can't stay at work, I can't run my business with no money. And so I called my mom, because who else do you call when you're 22 and you're having a mental breakdown? And so I stood out front of the office that morning crying, and people were just walking past me looking very concerned and confused, like, what is wrong with this crazy girl? And so I called my mom, and she actually stopped whatever she was doing that morning, and she bought me some lunch and she bought me some coins. And I remember her walking across the road with their little Ziploc bag of coins and a packed sandwich. And in that moment, there were so many narratives that I could have said to myself. I could have said, when I start a business, bad things happen, like you empty your entire life savings and have nothing yet to show for it. I could have said that I'm just not good with money. I'm not good at business. I can't succeed when I try and set out to do big things. There were so many narratives that I could have held on to and used that as evidence on why I should give up at that point, why I should close the business, cut my losses and just move on. But honestly, not one of those thoughts even crossed my mind. And all I could think of was what's next. And I always think very logically, sometimes to my detriment, but my brain is very logical, and all I could see was what's next. And that looked like me actually doubling down to make damn sure this business took off and that I was able to make that money back. So one thing I always do is I look at the facts. The facts were, I started a business, I emptied all of my money and didn't keep an eye on it. I was at a job I didn't like, but I didn't create any false narratives around what that meant about me, about my capabilities. And when we can look at the facts, we can see things more clearly. And all I could see was, I have this problem. How do I make more money? How do I actually start boosting more sales? How do I sell more? How do I do more outreach? And it becomes so clear. But oftentimes when people create narratives, it clouds everything else and you almost can't even see a way forward, because oftentimes it's like, what is the point? So my life motto has always been, where there is a will, there is always a way. Just watch me. Because in 2011, I actually had this as my Facebook status. It was 18-year-old Jess, but I cannot tell you, it is so true. And it is why I'm so passionate about mindset being the key to success. Because it wasn't about the how, it was about how I navigated it. While we also need strategy in business, when you unlock the power of your mind, anything becomes possible. It's time to play in Fantasyland, because if your goals don't scare you, then it is time to dream bigger. Who knows, if I had had this level of self-belief when I was 7 years old, the Girls Club by now would have been like a multi-billion-dollar business. And if you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it did. I started 4 other businesses in the next 3 years.